Point After Podcast with your host, Julien Barnett.
What's up, fantasy world? Welcome into the Point After Podcast. I am your host, Julien Barnett, brought to you as always on the True North Fantasy Football Podcast Network. Proud partners with Monkey Knife Fight. We have a absolutely stellar show lined up for a fun week 13 that we're going to be looking at. Coach and I, we might have some guests popping on in a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so. But to get started, let me introduce my co-host and friend this week, Coach Craig. You can find him on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. Coach, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right. And obviously we're still both alive. We're still doing the podcast. We disappeared for a week.
I was going to get into it. Coach and I, it was Thanksgiving last week down in the States, obviously. And you were unavailable, Coach, and I was actually out of town as well. So we decided to just kibosh the show for a week, and then come back strong week 13. I'm excited to be back. I missed getting on the air with you last week. I was in a drought all week. I was upset. I didn't feel like myself, knowing I didn't have any Coach Craig in my life other than what I could see on the Twitterverse. So I'm happy to be here with you, man. And thanks for joining me.
Yep. And I know we were both out of town last week, so definitely good to get away for a little bit, but also good to get back into everything too.
Yeah, it's nice to get back into the flow of it. And yeah, speaking of that, I guess we should probably just start with the injuries. This week we don't have a crazy slew of injuries. Usually this segment takes us, and I'm not kidding when I say this, half an hour to get through this segment because, we break it down and kind of talk about the fantasy implications of all these injuries. But this week is not too bad. So, Coach, you want to take us through some of the major headlines?
And like the ones that we do have, a lot of them we already know that they're out ahead of time too, so it's not like we're trying to guess it too.
No game time decisions for us this week.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple.
Last week was tough, man. There was a lot of players who came right down to the wire, and then there was a lot of injuries that happened mid-game last week that really ruined a lot of fantasy owners. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, so I got a couple ones that are cornerbacks on here too, a couple defensive players. So Joe Hayden's still out with a foot injury. Obviously, that's going to help out Marquise Hollywood Brown. We got I can't talk. Asante Samuel Jr. out with a concussion once again. This is his second concussion of the year too. This is the second week that he's missed with it, so something to keep an eye on. Probably helps out T. Higgins more than it helps out Jamar Chase because Tavon Campbell's probably going to be on T. Higgins most of the time. Michael Davis is probably going to be on Jamar Chase most of the time, so just keep an eye out on that one. Corey Davis been dealing with that groin strain. Didn't practice the first 2 days this week. Limited practice on Friday. He's questionable to play. No other update besides that. Honestly, I don't know if he ends up playing. I don't think he's somebody you could start this week. He's not somebody you can trust to start this week, at least.
For sure. I mean, even if he's out there, I just do not have the confidence to, go and lock him into my lineup. As I hoped all preseason, Elijah Moore has turned into at least some kind of fantasy outlet, and I just don't think that this team can support two fantasy wide receivers with Zach Wilson, currently in the offense that they have. And so, not saying that they can't, down the road or moving into the next couple of years. I just think this team's going to take a little bit of time to actually develop and to into what we are hoping that it can be. And so, I'm out on Corey Davis this week, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, but I think you bring up a good point too. Like if he ends up playing, though, I wouldn't trust Elijah Moore this week. Like I don't think there's enough trust there in general, but we'll have to see. I know like a lot of his performances, they came in garbage time. They're fluky touchdowns and stuff like that too. He kind of laid a big egg last week against the Texans too. So we'll just have to see how it goes throughout the rest of the year, especially for him. On the opposite side of that game, we do have the Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan Howard's still out with a knee injury. Jalen Hurts, the biggest news today. He's been dealing with that ankle injury. He's been ruled out, so Gardner Minshew is going to end up starting in this game. If you're in a single quarterback league, there's no way you're starting Gardner Minshew. But if you're in a two quarterback or a super flex league, you could look at starting him.
Yeah, he could be a sneaky pickup. And I think he's going to offer enough with his rushing ability, that he kind of offers his scrambles. The thing is, we were already worried about, Jalen Hurts' pass catching weapons. When he throws to Jalen Reagor and he's absolutely wide open and drops it twice in the end zone, what's going to happen with Gardner Minshew throwing in the ball? I actually I liked Gardner Minshew. I more like the personality of Gardner Minshew, but for fantasy, he got it done last year. He was pretty, or 2 years ago, sorry, he was a pretty consistent, QB2. So I think you can go in and plug him in, and you're probably, I don't think he gives you like a, massive upside, but if you're in the position where you have to start Gardner Minshew off the waiver wire, or, as your fourth or fifth QB in a super flex league, then, you probably need to put him in there. So, I like him over some of the other like middling flex options that you could be looking at if you're in a super flex league and you got to plug somebody in there.
Yeah, and I really haven't had a chance to figure out where I'm going to put him in the rankings yet, since that news was still kind of recent. I'm just, it's a good matchup. We'll see how it ends up, but they have been trying to run the ball quite a bit lately too, so that factors in. But Boston Scott, one of the running backs as well, he's been dealing with an illness all week, and he's questionable to play. He's going to be a game time decision, they've already said. So you might just be down to Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell at this point in time.
And Jordan Howard's been ruled out, correct?
Yeah, he's dealing with that knee injury that he suffered 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So this could be interesting for Miles Sanders owners. Are you thinking that he could be a sneaky dart throw, in larger GPPs, or are you kind of just still not sold on it? So he's a decent value, but a lot of people are already talking him up, so he could end up being kind of chalky as well. Yeah. I think he dealt with a little bit of injury in that game last week himself too, but he's supposedly good, fine to go this week. So we'll see if there's anything that lingers from that at all.
Yeah, sounds good, man. That's that'll be a good one. Sorry, go on to the next one, Coach.
So we got the Giants. We got the Giants next, and Daniel Jones, he is dealing with a neck injury. He's out, so we get Mike Glennon starting, which does not instill confidence. I mean, the Giants' offense was already bad, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah, it is.
And then
that's rough. I don't want any part of that offense. I don't even feel confident starting Saquon this week. I think I have him down at like running back 22 in my rankings, and it's I just don't feel good about it whatsoever.
He's a running back 2 this week, and I think that's almost how we have to treat him for the rest of the year, because this offensive line's not good. Daniel Jones, he has flashes here and there, but he's better at running the ball than he is throwing the ball at this point in time. Then we got Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney, who are both doubtful this week once again too. It sounds like they're both not going to play. They just haven't officially ruled them out for whatever reason yet.
Yeah.
So
I don't think either of them play. I'm pretty confident Toney will be out as well as Shepard. And even so, I don't want any of it. It's going to be ugly. The only part, it's going to be bad, man.
It's just not good. And typically you want to play that slot wide receiver against the Dolphins if you're going to play a wide receiver. And Kenny Galladay and Darius Slayton do not play the slot at all. Evan Ingram does play a little bit of slot, but I don't think they're going to put that's not quite the matchup you're looking for there. So it's probably not going to be pretty. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants only score 6 points in this game.
If that. I have zero confidence in this offense at this point in time with Mike Glennon leading the team. And I will happily be wrong about that if they come out and somehow they light the world on fire against this Dolphins defense. But I just don't see it happening. And then the Dolphins defense is really the only team that they're the only player I want on the field at that time is streaming that Dolphins D, because I think they're going to be out there playing against a pretty bleak New York Giants offense. So speaking of the Dolphins, let's switch over to that side real quick, because there's some pieces on that side of the ball that can be extremely fantasy viable. One of them not being Mike Gesicki. Where are you at with him? Are you just out at this point? I mean, he's given you pretty much 4 out of the top 15 weeks at the position. So are you kind of out on Mike Gesicki this week, or do you think in an easy cupcake matchup like this against the New York Giants that he can have a get right game?
So there's a lot of different parts to this question, and it's a good matchup for him overall. Devonta Parker could be back this week off IR. We really haven't heard one way or another, honestly. This should be a game they just have to run the ball anyways and run out the clock, but I mean, I think Gesicki is probably like a high-end tight end too this week for me personally, but I've never been like the biggest Mike Gesicki guy anyways, and I don't even feel right calling him a tight end because he lines up in line 5 snaps a game. Like,
yeah,
on average. So it's like I don't know. Like, if Parker's back, that obviously affects him quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. Well, and Jalen Waddle has really been the story there, soaking up those slot reps, but also the targets in this offense. Tua clearly seems to really trust him, dating back to their college days together. And, Jalen Waddle's a guy that if I have him on my rosters, I've pretty much plugged him in every single week for the past 5 weeks, and it is paying dividends. Wide receiver 14 on the season. Definitely can't be upset with that, and only room to grow, I think, because it's not like he's scoring these ridiculously, long touchdowns or like big plays or anything like that. It's volume. He's seeing double-digit targets in the past 3 weeks. Like it's really phenomenal what he's actually been able to put together with Tua since he's been back. So like, where are you at with Jalen Waddle? Let's just say rest of season. While we're on the team.
I mean, he's a guy that you're going to play pretty much most weeks. At this point in time, maybe a little bit of caution this week, temper your expectations a little bit if Devonta Parker is back and he goes against James Bradbury too, potentially shadowing him, who's done pretty good in terms of shadowing wide receivers for the most part this year, outside like Terry McLaurin, and I believe there was one other wide receiver too, but it's a tough matchup overall. But I mean, obviously when you look at all the other pieces around there, it's like, do you really want to throw to Preston Williams or Albert Wilson or Mac Hollins? Like, yeah, you're going to put the ball to Jalen Waddle that you actually played college with. Him, you kind of trust him.
And he's good at football. When you get the ball in his hands, he catches it, he makes plays.
Yeah, he can do things.
Yeah, exactly. He's a reliable target. And, he's I would say he's the best weapon this offense has. And then, and then Myles Gaskin as well has been, I mean, it's been ugly fantasy points, but those still count. He hasn't been getting the massive volume, hasn't been super efficient, but he has gotten the ball down around the goal line. He had the 2 touchdowns last week. And I think he had a 2 touchdown game 3 weeks ago as well. So has certainly helped some managers win weeks over the past little while, making this push for the playoffs. Where are you at with Myles Gaskin?
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid running back too at this point in time, especially, they keep trying to bring all these other running backs in and nothing ends up happening too. Philip Lindsay, they brought in, he's out for this game too. So it's just Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed there too. So I'm not really too concerned. It seems like they finally put their chips into him once again this year. Yeah,
and it seems like they trust him and he can do what they ask him to do. So, the Miami Dolphins are on a 4-game win streak. So, it's been working. Whatever they've been doing there down in Miami has been working. So let's move on to the next set of injuries here. We'll keep this train rolling.
Yeah, so we got Jacksonville Jaguars. Shaquille Griffin is out with a concussion once again. This is the second week on that concussion. They are playing against the Rams, obviously, so that could help out Odell Beckham Jr. or Van Jefferson. And Odell Beckham Jr. dealing with a back injury. We'll see if he ends up playing as well. Also, the other one for the Jaguars, too, James Robinson. It's listed still as the heel and a knee, but I'm just putting it down as a knee because he did get banged up last week. It seemed like Carlos Hyde played more snaps after that, so I'm not sure exactly. I didn't really follow that situation too closely, but he's kind of been in and out of practice this week. He's questionable to play. There's really no lean one way or another. So if he plays, probably like a low-end running back 2 this week. If you get Carlos Hyde, he's a low-end running back 2, a flex play if you need to go there this week. That's about it. I mean, the Rams defense, they are tough, but they've given up yards on the run, yards to the run at least.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think at this point, nobody's expectations are too high of James Robinson, of just the Jacksonville Jaguars offense in general. If you happen to have the guy on your team who scores their 1 touchdown, you're probably pretty excited about it. So, and honestly, I'm not sure how effective this offense is going to be against this Rams defense. Like you said, they can run it, but I just think this is going to be, a pretty rough game for the the Jacksonville Jaguars, if I'm being honest. The Rams are on a 3-game lose streak. They got to get right. They're going to come out and absolutely pummel this team. And so even with that game script, I kind of lean more towards the passing weapons anyway. Not that I'm, really targeting them, but if I was going to target a Jaguar in this game, I think I would be more inclined to, well, honestly, I can't even say that because I have no confidence in, putting Marvin Jones Jr., Visca Chenault, Tavon Austin, like none of these guys are going into my lineups with any sort of confidence. So it's pretty rough, man. It's pretty rough. Let's flip over to the other side. We'll talk Darrell Henderson, Odell here, because both of them have been dealing with injury this week. Sean McVay has, kind of come out and said multiple times, he expects them both to play, but they still don't know 100%. We were talking off air before the show started, Coach, and you said you don't really expect Darrell Henderson to play. I do, but even if he does play, we're both under the same kind of mindset of this is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why would you really, give him a full workload in a game like this when Sony Michel is going to be just as competent behind him. And you won't really even need your run game to go out and dominate because you're going to get up early with your passing attack and Matt Stafford. So even if Darrell Henderson plays, I am, kind of just fading him in terms of what I expect his production to be. I don't think we see, his massive share of the backfield as he usually gets with this team. Where are you at with these two guys?
So I think with Henderson, like I said, I don't expect him to play. Like there's no reason for him to play in this game. Honestly, they just call up Mekhi Sargent from the practice squad, run with Sony Michel, and go from there. I know Buddy Howell, the third running back, he's mainly just been playing special teams anyways, but he's out in this game. So maybe it's a depth thing. I don't know. But you don't just run out your starting running back out there with the thigh injury and let him get worse, essentially. There's no point in doing that. Especially when you have a competent backup in Sony Michel at the very least. Otto Beckham Jr., I have no idea if this dude's going to play or not. I'm just going to assume he's going to play because he typically plays through pretty much anything, unless, it's a torn ACL or trying to remember what he had the surgery on his rookie year. But
he had the shoulder injury for a while as well.
Yeah,
and the ACL, yeah.
But he pretty much plays through everything if he's able, if it's physically possible. So I would assume that he's out there unless it's really bad, unless they're just just take a week off or whatever. Obviously, if he's not out there, I do like Van Jefferson quite a bit. I have Van Jefferson higher than him, in my rankings anyways, but just because he's been there, he's got the trust of Matthew Stafford a little bit more. And if you watch these games, Stafford and Odell, they just don't have that chemistry at this point in time. He's Stafford's expecting him to do one thing and he does the complete opposite. And I mean, even going back to Cleveland, you just see Odell doing whatever the heck he wants anyways. So
yeah, no kidding. Oh, we'll see if that continues. I'm not sure that it'll be they'll stand for it in this offense, but we shall see. So he did get 10 targets last week, so they were trying to get him involved, but those have to be valuable targets. And I mean, he did have a strong fantasy outing last week, but I do agree. I think Van Jefferson is an extremely competent wide receiver, somebody that Matt Stafford relies on, that the Rams can count on to come up and make some of those big plays when they need to. They don't have to force feed the ball to Odell. So, and again, I do think they get up early in this game, and then we do kind of just see them, pound the rock, control the clock, all that fun stuff that you see teams in the lead do, and we might actually get some of our fantasy points sucked out of this. I know a lot of people are really targeting this game, and I totally get it. Especially the Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. I love both of them in this game. But I think the auxiliary pieces, they just might not be needed as much, to once they're up, how much are we really going to see out of this Rams offense down the stretch? So we'll see how it plays out, man.
Yeah, but on the same thing too, and you have to score points to get up big. So somebody's got to be scoring those points. Exactly. It's you see that myth a lot too. It's there might not be that much at the end, but in the beginning, somebody's still got to do something to get points on the board. Unless the kicker's just kicking all the points,
Well,
or the defense is scoring
I don't think that's what's going to be happening. But I could see, the Rams getting up, 3 touchdowns, something like that. And ending this game, scoring 30 plus points or, just above 30 points, but, really taking it to the Jags, might score one touchdown. So we'll see how it plays out. That's the interesting part, is really like pinpointing who those, touchdowns are going to go to. It might get ugly too. Like I think this could be one of those games where we're really just, expecting all of the options on this team to explode. And then it's kind of the weird ones, right? Like Sony Michel might score, might get in there. And then we got Tyler Higbee, maybe scoring a 1-yard touchdown. And just like some of these odd, weird things that you don't really think are going to happen. And, you want your studs to be out there scoring these points, and then they just go elsewhere. I feel like I've seen this story before. I've heard that, I've seen this happen. I've felt this happen to myself. And so that's why I'm kind of tempering my expectations. And trying not to look at this matchup and just think, oh, it's such a juicy matchup, everybody has to be awesome.
Yep. So we'll get to the next one, which is obviously Melvin Gordon. He has been ruled out officially now. He's listed as a shoulder and a hip injury. I know you're excited about this for Javonte. Like, honestly,
Coach, I'm not that excited about it. Like, I am actually, like, I feel like the hype is just like so high at this point. It's just like mounting. And it's like I think he comes out and he actually upsets people, and because they're just they want so much out of him. And I totally get it. He's been in a 50-50 timeshare. He's going to get a bulk of the carries here, but I just, in this game with the Chiefs, do you not expect this team to be passing the ball a lot? I mean, unless somehow the Broncos get up early and are controlling the clock, I just don't see how Javonte Williams is really going to be able to take over this game, unless he has a long touchdown or something like that. So as much as I absolutely love Javonte Williams, my love for this guy pre-draft, once he was drafted to the Broncos, one of my most rostered players, in dynasty leagues, and now I'm kind of upset about this because I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to be somebody that you actually want to play this week. Obviously,
of course, you're going to play him, but I'm just he's ranked as I think he's his consensus ranking right now is RB5 on the week, and I'm not there. I've got him as a high end RB2, right? And I'm excited for him to fully get this workload, but I really think GameScript could tell us, a completely different story. And, the wide receivers who are not involved last week whatsoever, get involved in this game. And it's the way that you got to keep up with the Chiefs. Unless this defense, can keep that cover 2 pressure and, or 2 high safety cover and, beat them the way that teams have this year. But, the Chiefs, again, on a 4-game win streak, they've kind of figured out how to get their offense back on track when they can't just sling the ball downfield. And, I think, this is going to be a high scoring game for the Chiefs. And if the Broncos are going to keep this game close, they're going to have to score points as well. They can't rely on stopping them.
Yeah. And like you said, if he's really consensus 5 right now, I think that's a little bit too far ridiculous, because
just a little bit.
I got him probably 16 or so at this point in time. You got to remember, this dude hasn't had even a majority, a even large share of the workload since high school, maybe. And even then, he was recruited as a linebacker that converted to running back too. So we don't even know if he had in high school.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm just looking up the ECR right now, so I can have that right on hand.
Yeah, if you want to look that up, I can talk about the next one too.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Obviously, this is a big one too. It's Darren Waller's out with his knee injury. He's been doubtful all week though. So Foster Moreau, if you're playing on DraftKings, biggest smash play of the day, because he's dirt cheap. He's either $2,500 or $2,600. And we saw the last time Darren Waller was out, he played 100% of snaps. I believe he had 6 catches, 50 or 60 yards, and a touchdown. So he was very, very good. He's got a nose for the end zone. Not a lot of playmakers on this, Raiders offense at all. It's him, Hunter Renfrow. You can get a little bit of Josh Jacobs, some Kenyon Drake there, but
that's about it. And I mean, even that it gets murky. You're not really, you can't be counting on either of those running backs, on a week-to-week basis. And my apologies, Javonte Williams ECR right now is actually RB10, which is still a little high for me. I have him back at, as I said, I think RB15 or RB16 this week. And, but still, that's it's definitely creeping up there, considering his ECR was in the back to mid 20s just a few weeks ago. But this opportunity, it'll be good for him, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And if he comes out and lights the world on fire, I think it's going to be tough for the Broncos to that's going to be what we're looking at for next season. It's going to be tough for them to bring Melvin Gordon back and and continue to limit his his involvement in this offense. So we'll see if his body can even handle it. As you alluded to, he's never handled that full 100% share, but even, bump him up to a 70, 60, 70, maybe even 80% running back share out of that backfield. And you're going to be pretty happy with it.
And I think the biggest concern you have to talk about with him, and this is something that coming out of college, everybody's like, oh, he's really good at pass protection. He struggled this year in pass protection. That's the difference between college and the pros. It's not the same. So if he struggles, if he misses a block or something, are they going to just throw Mike Boone in there and roll with that?
Well, we'll see, right? I think that's also game script dependent, right? Maybe Mike Boone comes in when they're, in a 2-minute drill, and then that obviously limits what Javonte is able to, create down the stretch in the passing game and whatnot if he can't figure that out. But luckily, pass protection is a teachable skill. That's something you can learn how to do in the NFL, and he's a smart player, so I believe with time he will learn how to do that. And can be on the field in those important situations. So, I
think that's a concern going forward, though, is if they bring in a pass catching specialist back with him, because he can do it, but it's like the Josh Jacobs situation. Are you going to let him do it long term?
That's a fair point as well. How much are you? How long are you willing to make that leash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you give him the opportunity or not. But I know we talked about Darren Waller there a little bit. Landon Collins is out too for the Washington football team. He's safety, sub-package linebacker essentially at this point in time. It's a bigger deal for IDP. If you're playing the IDP, he's going to be one of those guys that you want in your lineup as a defensive back, a safety, because he's essentially playing linebacker anyways.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'll just say on Waller as well, I do like Foster Moreau as a DFS start throw. I like him a lot in DFS. In season-long leagues, I think he's still going to be, a high-end tight end too. He's going to get volume this week, which is, that's just something that you don't see a whole lot at the tight end position. So whenever you can plug a guy in, it's going to get 6-7 targets at the tight end position, can certainly be helpful for you. I want to just bring in our guests here, Coach. We've got Hutch. Hutch, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. I can't thank you enough. This is super exciting. We've never been on the air together, but you and I, we've talked on Twitter and whatnot, gotten together in the DMs a bit, but also on the Twitter sphere. So it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks so much. Tell the people where they can find you.
Hey guys, I'm super excited to be here. I wish I could come on earlier, but I was actually doing my own show, 15-Minute Fantasy with Akash. But I'm super happy to be here. Super excited to talk some football with you guys. You guys can go follow me on Twitter at TYFMNFL. You can also follow me on TikTok on that same handle. I just got a new TikTok account or page.
I saw that. That's exciting.
I don't know the TikTok language yet. I have no clue how to use the app right now.
Me neither, man. There's some cool stuff on there. I'll admit, I lose myself sometimes, just going through and seeing all the different
sometimes it gets difficult.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Some of the stuff people can do in the world, it's real cool. So definitely go check them out on there. I did see that you're on TikTok there, so I'll have to give you a follow myself. I'm not super involved. I try and get on there, but it's social media. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, social media. It's weird. I don't know how to use it. I'm before my Twitter account, before the podcasting, all that stuff. I never used social media before. I had no clue what everything was. I had to learn it all from scratch.
I feel you, man. I mean, I was on Instagram as a young teenager, but when once I kind of graduated, I just stopped posting and everything. And then same thing, I started up the point after, and the rest is kind of history. I got on Twitter and had to teach myself how to social media. It's very difficult. It's a skill that you really have to learn. Luckily, the pandemic gave me a lot of time.
Yeah, the pandemic gave us a lot of time to do so.
Yeah, most definitely will. Anyways, thanks so much for coming on, man. We're just going through some of the injuries this week, heading into week 13, and then we're going to get into building a couple slates here for our captain showdown. So yeah, Coach, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so next up we got Deebo Samuel out with his groin injury. So obviously you get a bump up for Brandon Ayuk, a bump up for George Kittle. Not too much to say there, really.
Yeah, I think, if you're in your DFS formats or whatever, I like George Kittle a lot. I like George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk a lot this week, especially George.
Oh, we got you muted.
I want to highlight his name for a second, George Kittle's name, because, the Seattle matchup, he was talking like, this pumps me up. The Seattle hatred absolutely pumps me up. And this is, Seattle has been awful against tight ends this season. They've been awful on defense in general. And I think Kittle's going to have he's going to have one of those monster games this year.
Yeah, and I love what you said there too, because it's something that I've been really trying to stick to this year, is not just looking at the analytics side of it, but the actual atmosphere of these games.
Yeah.
This is an interdivisional game. The Seahawks beat the 49ers earlier this year. The Niners are on a steamrolling win streak right now. I think they're going to come out and they're going to pop Seattle in the mouth, and it's going to be a really, really fun game. And I like both those guys. I can't believe I'm saying this live on the air, Coach, but I actually really like Elijah Mitchell this week. And even moving forward, Hutch, you probably don't know this, but pre-draft, Coach and I would have extensive conversations, and one of the takes that I was very adamant about was that Elijah Mitchell is not good at football, and the kids come out and absolutely balled out and made me look silly. So I own up to that. I was definitely wrong.
Yes, I said before the NFL draft that Jamar Chase is overrated. So
so did I. Maybe I'm just bad at this whole thing.
Yeah, I said Jamar Chase is pretty significantly overrated. Devonta Smith is better, and that's not looking great right now. But Devonta Smith is still great. He's still amazing.
At least there's the saving grace of, I said, Waddle will still be in the top tier of this draft class in terms of wide receivers, and that's looking pretty hot right now. The other guy I was really high on was Elijah Moore.
Oh my goodness, I was all over Elijah Moore. I was looking back at a dynasty trade I made yesterday.
I made this trade a few months ago, before the season had started. But I traded Darren Waller in a first for Elijah Moore, Tyler Higbee, and a second. And at the time was it had Darren Waller, Antonio Brown, Curtis Samuel. At the time, looked like a pretty bad trade in my opinion, on my side. And now looking back at it, I'm like, this might not actually have turned out so bad in the long run. So that's just how dynasty football works sometimes. But Coach, I apologize. We got off track there. We got to get back to the injuries here. So,
I'm taking everybody off track.
We talk prospects some other day.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that sometime in the off season.
I got a lot more to dig into with that still, but we got the Cardinals up next. So we got DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray both listed as game time decisions at this point in time. They've both been practicing this week, so I assume both of them are back overall as well.
Yeah, I think so as well. Hutch, you got anything to add there?
Sorry, you guys froze for a second on my screen. Were you talking about Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins being game time decisions?
Yep. Game time decisions. Probably going to play.
I don't expect either to play. If they're wait, is there any updates from game time decision?
No, they were questionable. They're listed as game time decisions, but they both practiced this week. And
DeAndre Hopkins had some cryptic text messages or Twitter tweets about being back. Some I was never really gone or something like that.
I seriously still don't expect either to play. And I feel like if they do, DeAndre Hopkins is like a wide receiver 2, Kyler Murray a really lower end QB1. I'm definitely not I'm not super comfortable with them this week, and I don't expect either to play.
All right. See, I think they will be out there. This team's been on a pretty bad skid without them, and so if they can get them out there, I think they're going to do whatever they can to try and pull out this win. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. It's definitely something to monitor because they are still considered both game time decisions. So be paying attention in the morning. Check that injury report. Is there anyone else in that game, Coach?
Let's see. So the opposite side of the game was the Bears. So obviously Justin Fields is out with his rib issue once again, and then Allen Robinson's
out, right?
he's doubtful at this point in time with his hamstring injury, but he hasn't practiced all week, so it's safe to assume that he's out.
Yeah.
Mooney definitely gets a bump up, and I feel like he's going to pretty much continue the production that he's been doing over the past couple of weeks. Mooney is someone I've been really, telling people to buy, especially earlier in the season. That's looking pretty good right now because Robinson's not getting used. Now he's hurt, and Mooney's playing fantastic ball.
Yeah, well, he looks like the wide receiver one on this team, and he is. I mean, he's seen double-digit targets multiple weeks in a row. He's just been and he's been electric when he's gotten the ball in his hands. Yeah. They haven't always been the most valuable targets, but when you get 30, he's at 30% market share over the last 4 weeks is really phenomenal stuff. What he's putting together on a really quite a porous offense. Let's be honest. So definitely a dynasty buy long term, and I think you can plug him in this week. I know some people are a little worried, but I think if the Bears have any chance of keeping up in this game, they're going to have to get the ball in their playmakers' hands. Mooney's one of those guys. He can take any play to the house, big shot guy. So I'm locking him into my lineup, and I think you can have confidence doing it.
Cole Kmet's great too. I like what we've seen from him as well. I think he's like a very, very low end 10-1 start. You can stream him off the waiver wire this week I think you can be pretty confident in him this week.
Yeah. Well, we said it earlier, right? As you were jumping on, Hutch, like with Foster Moreau, whenever you can get a tight end who's going to see like 5 or 6 targets in a game,
11 targets.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like whenever you see like 5 or 6 plus target, like that's all you need at the tight end position. If they catch 3 of those for 40 yards, they're going to be a top 12 tight end that week. If they happen to get in the end zone, then fantastic. You've got a top 5 tight end. So I do believe Cole Kmet is banged up, Coach, but I think he's going to play, correct?
Yeah, he should be good. He should be good to play. It is a very tough matchup against the Cardinals. They've been very good against tight ends so far this season. And I'll just say this too. Since you got Andy Dalton back as quarterback and Bill Lazor is actually calling plays, this offense has actually been moving the ball. Mm-hmm. I know everybody loves Justin Fields and everything, but you got to remember Bill Lazor and Andy Dalton were in Cincinnati together. They kind of got that mind meld. And the games that Andy Dalton started earlier in the year, Matt Nagy was calling plays and just blowing everything to crap.
Doing Matt Nagy things.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh, and I'll just throw Zach Ertz out there as well. I think regardless of who's the quarterback for the Cardinals this week, I'm pretty excited about Zach Ertz and what he's been able to put together this season. Kind of having a resurgence in his career, and and I'm rooting for the guy. I was kind of out. I'll be honest. Like I didn't have any shares, so I didn't feel like I needed to sell or anything, but I wasn't buying anywhere. And, he goes to Arizona and he's seeing a lot of volume himself as well. And so if Nook does end up not playing, I think Zach Ertz does get a boost, and, I'd be pretty confident plugging him in there at the tight end position.
Yeah. As an Eagles fan, I'm so happy for Zach Ertz. I'm very happy to see that he's doing well, but it's very frustrating because with the Eagles, I think he broke one in his entire career, like maybe one. I don't know if he broke any at all, but now with Arizona, he actually looks like quick and he looks strong and he looks kind of explosive, honestly, when you talk about tight ends.
Yeah. And I never saw that. I always felt like he was just like a dink and dunk guy for the last 2 years. I mean, like when he was that 3 years ago, he was getting massive target share, like where he was seeing like 10 targets a game. And that's when he was really an elite tight end. But it was pretty much, he still had some great plays, but a lot of it was predicated on volume. And now it's in Arizona, it's not necessarily volume, but they're just getting him the ball in the right situations, and he's able to take advantage of it. So, definitely happy for the guy.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't worry, I had all your Zach Ertz shares for you earlier this year. Because where you were able to draft him, I'm like, you might as well take that free lottery ticket on him. I'm like, if he gets back to his old form, he's a top 5 tight end. It was what, like,
here you are.
You're out of the past 4 years before last year.
Yeah.
And the dude's still not that old. Like he's old for football, but not that old for a tight end.
I mean, I think he's 29, isn't he? It's like 29 or 30. Like
30, 31.
He's 31?
31.
Okay. I'm a little off then.
His birthday was
still old. It's kind of old.
Was November 10th, so we just turned 31.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he's 30. Okay. Yeah, just happened.
We got 2 more injuries. They're both running backs, both dealing with shoulder injuries. Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift. They're both out this week. So you get some Alexander Madison and some Jamal Williams.
Both of those guys
going against each other too.
Alexander Madison's a top 5 back on the week for me right now. I have an RB4 for PPR, and then Jamal Williams I think is right around the top 15 range. Both of them are fantastic starts this week.
Yeah, I'm actually inclined to agree. The Lions defense has been just absolutely decimated. Pretty much every single week, it seems. They're tending to stay close in a lot of these games. They come out on the losing end, but the Vikings have shown the willingness to use Alexander Madison when Dalvin Cook is out in that primary back role and going against a very weak defense. Against the running back, I like him a lot in this game. Coach, where are you at with Madison? I don't quite have him at top 5, but I can kind of see how you got there. I currently have Alexander Madison at looks like my man. My updated ranks didn't load, guys.
I'll explain why I have him at number 4. I have him at number 4 right now. Over the past 2 games, he's seen 20 plus touches when Cook is out this year, and he's had 2 games with that. He's had 150 plus yards in both games. He gets at least 6 catches in both games. He has 23 plus PPR fantasy points in both games. And in all of that time, he only scores 1 touchdown. So, he's getting insane.
Positive regression is due.
Yards, 83% opportunity share in terms of his running backs for the Vikings in those 2 games. He is just absolutely the guy. He's basically just Dalvin Cook, just a different name. When he's on the field for the Vikings, he's just
same hair though.
Unbelievable. Same hair. Yeah, same hair. But he's just a fantastic. I think he's a great running back. I just genuinely think Alexander Madison's a great running back. I've usually been an Alexander Madison truther. For most of the time I've watched, played fantasy football, I've always been a Madison guy. And I think he's the top handcuff in fantasy football, especially with Cook, aging. We could see more and more injuries pop up for him. He's getting towards that 26-year-old mark where we see running backs fall off. Madison's going to be somebody that I think we see a lot more from him next year.
Yeah, I agree as well. I'm a little nervous if I have Cook in a dynasty league. It's just injuries have piled up at this point, and when you have a competent back like Madison behind you, how long are they really going to run you until the tires fall off, and then they move on, right? And then you're stuck in this kind of this limbo situation. We've seen running backs just fall off a cliff so fast once they become free agents as well in this league. It's really unbelievable, how fast it can happen. And I think Dalvin Cook could be one of those guys with his injury history. I mean, this says Todd Gurley written all over it, right? An elite back for quite a few years, and then the injuries hit, and there's other situations with arthritis in the knee. It's not the same, but these are starting to pile up for Dalvin, and it's becoming a consistent thing. It's always kind of been a consistent thing, but Coach, you got anything to add on that?
I mean, Dalvin Cook, if you go back, it's every year since high school, he's been hurt too. And I said at the time when they never should have paid him that contract extension, just let him walk or trade him away and just put Alexander Madison in there, because he's 80% Dalvin Cook anyways. Yeah. So, and he doesn't have that long, extensive injury history either. So, and even what you were saying, it's he's going to fall apart and you're going to have to move, and you can move on from him, but they really can't move on from him because they gave him that big old extension too. So I don't know. It's kind of a mess long term, honestly. And then Alexander Madison, I believe next year is the last year on his rookie contract too. So he could be moving on to somewhere else and maybe looking a little bit nicer in Dynasty too.
Yeah, if they that'll be interesting to see if they re-sign him, because if they re-sign him, that's bad signs for Cook. That's a really bad sign for Cook. But if they let him go, that's a good sign for Cook. So it'll be very interesting to see, because if they were to let him go, that means we trust Cook. He's going to be our guy for the next couple of years. But if they re-sign him, they're we're nervous about this guy. We're nervous about Cook. Maybe he's done.
And I think it'll be the vastness of that contract as well. If it's depending on what they pay it, if they pay him as an RB2, then woohoo, that's awesome. That's fine for Cook. We're probably going to see kind of a split in this game or in this team. But if they if they sign him to any kind of multi-year 3-4 year contract where he has a hefty chunk of change guaranteed, see you later, Dalvin. They're moving on. So it like you said, it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they let Madison walk and just draft another running back to put behind Cook too. That would not surprise me by any means.
Yeah, for sure. Come in, Tony. Sorry, guys. I got my catering service.
Catering service.
Dropping off drinks. Look at that, eh?
Yeah. You have the best life there is.
Yeah, this is the life. I'm living the luxury life here. Usually this time, Hutch, we'd take a look back at last week's hits and misses from our previous week. We didn't do a show last week. Actually, Coach and I are both out of town, so we don't have any hits and misses to look at. A couple weeks ago, we actually did do pretty good. We hit 2 out of 3 of our games on the show. Nice. But before we go in and we look at these, well, first we're going to start with the DraftKings Sunday night showdown slate. But before that, we're just going to take a quick word from our sponsor.
If you want the best DFS player prop games in the industry, jump onto Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is sweeping the nation right now, and we at True North are proud to be doing it along with them. They've got games for all sports and skill levels that are sure to keep you on the edge of your seat, with endless opportunity to watch your winnings pile up. With our promo code TNFF, Monkey Knife Fight will match your first deposit up to $50. So sign up now with our promo code and you can get up to $50 of free money to start making some bank. Again, that's monkeyknifefight.com, and the promo code is TNFF at your first deposit to start playing today.
All right. So yeah, go check out Monkey Knife Fight. We'll be on there shortly here. We're going to play little touchdown dances on there. Those are always fun. But before we get into that, we're going to do our Sunday night football game captain slate showdown. These are always a lot of fun. Coach and I, we build one of these pretty much every week for this Sunday night slate. And yeah, so this one is an interdivision game. You know, we've got the Chiefs and the Broncos. The Chiefs, I believe, are, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're 7-5, and the Broncos are 6-6. I think.
I'll fact check that.
Is that where we're at?
The Chiefs are 7-4. The Broncos are 6-5. So they're one game.
Okay, so I had an extra game. On there, but so basically, you know, this is the whole point that I'm trying to make is this is a massive game for both these teams. If the Broncos win, they can take over first place in this division. If
they'll
the Chiefs win,
they'll tie the Chiefs there. They'll tie the Chiefs,
but they'll have the game, this particular game over. So it'll be, you know, it that makes a big difference for both these teams. So I think we do get a really competitive game. It happens to be on the Sunday nighter, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Coach, I want to go to you first. We're playing in a pretty large GPP here, so it's just a $1 NFL Showdown 20K entry contest. You know, usually I'd build a couple lineups and try and enter them in these things, but we're just going to build the one here in the captain spot. With this being a large tournament, you know, we've got 23,000 people in it. So are you fading kind of these top tier players and you know, trying to go a little contrarian in the flex spot, or do you think you want to spend up, you know, on the guys who you absolutely know are going to be involved in this one?
Yeah, I think you could probably end up spending up. And this is a really interesting one because if you look back last year, Travis Kelce's 2 worst games were against the Broncos last year. However, they don't have the same linebackers. Both those linebackers are on IR. Denver's really struggled in terms of filling in there. Obviously, Baron Brown and the rookies looked okay at times. So Kelsey's a decent pick. You got Tyreek Hill on the outside. Broncos have decent corners though too. So it's a little bit interesting where you want to go like right off the bat. I know we kind of talked a little bit before the show, like the 2 Broncos that I probably like the most in general are Javonte Williams and Noah Fant, and Kansas City's really struggled against the tight end position as well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and with these, we usually try to build a 4-2 lineup. So, you know, if I'm looking at the Broncos, those are the 2 that I am looking at. I do think Javonte Williams will be quite chalky in this contest, in this particular slate. But let's go back to the big 3 for Kansas City, the 3 highest priced players on this slate. In the captain spot, we got Pat Mahomes priced at 18,600 with that captain premium. Tyreek Hill is just over 16,000, 16,200, and then Travis Kelce is right at 15,000. So if we are going to pick one of those, you know, the kind of question is, you want to spend up and grab Mahomes, get the highest priced player in that captain spot. Doesn't give you a whole lot of room elsewhere, you know, or spend down to grab Kelce a little bit, you know, save a little bit of money there on Tyreek Hill. That's really the question you want to ask yourselves. And then, kind of looking at these other options, if we get a little deeper, right, we could go a little wild with it and get like Noah Fant in the captain spot, and then build a team of Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and maybe Javonte Williams, see if they all fit in there, and then see if we can go after that. So there's lots of things we can do here. Hutch, I'm gonna go to you. Just out of those Chiefs big three that we got at the top there, which one of them do you like the most in this game?
I like Mahomes here. A lot with 20K people in this tournament. A lot of people are going to be going after him, and Mahomes is just a fantastic play. As you said, this game is huge. This is an important game for the Chiefs. This is an important game for the Broncos to win. This is going to be a competitive game, and I feel like if the Chiefs are going to be competitive, they're going to want to give it to their best player, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like Mahomes gets at least 35 pass attempts in this game. And the Chiefs I think Mahomes gets like 35 pass attempts, 3 touchdowns. I think he has a big night, so I think I go Mahomes.
Well, and yeah, I think the question too is if those pass touchdowns, if they end up going to Demarcus Robinson, maybe Byron Pringle scores one, then these other, the Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce players on this slate, obviously it really, really hurts them. But if you have one of those wide receivers, say you get Tyreek Hill in there who has the possible 100-yard game, gets the 100-yard bonus. Travis Kelce's in that conversation as well, I think, for that 100 yards, gets that bonus. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a couple options we can do. So, Coach, I'll go back to you. We're gonna fiddle around with a couple options here. Yeah. I kind of want to try the Fant in the captain spot lineup and see where we're at. Are you do you like that, or are you kind of shying away, thinking you should maybe grab one of those Chiefs?
Technically, if we play Fant, we're supposed to play Teddy Bridgewater, and I have no interest in playing Teddy Bridgewater at all. Just call me the Teddy Bridgewater hater. Like,
naturally. Well, and he is pricey on this slate. I'd rather spend up elsewhere. I truthfully, so I'm not really into Teddy Bridgewater as well. But I do see where you're coming from.
Let's see. So if you let's just try this real quick. So if you actually put Patrick Mahomes in the captain spot, and then just say play Travis Kelce, Javonte Williams, and Noah Fant, how much money is left over then?
Probably not much. Yeah.
Hey, there's a couple values on this slate that we can look at.
Yeah. Okay.
2,800.
All right.
How much is left?
8,800 total.
Yeah, 8,800 left.
Yeah, because I like Darrell Williams quite a bit at $2,000 because he's probably splitting work with Clyde Edwards-Helaire once again. He could get a goal line touchdown, and for that price tag, it's just too cheap on this slate overall.
Yeah, I agree. And then that actually gives us some room to add some of these other guys we were talking off air about. Tim Patrick is a guy we both like.
I love Tim Patrick.
Get it? Yeah, I like him in this game a lot too, and Cortland Sutton as well. We do have enough to just slip him in there. So this does give us, kind of a 3-3 build, which we've talked about. Usually doesn't tend to win these large contests. Usually you got to get, a 4-2 or a 5-1 sometimes kind of build. But I'm not opposed to looking at it and at least kind of seeing what it looks like. I do think Darrell Williams is just such a value there at $2,000. It's hard to take him out of the lineup, and then the other Chiefs we'd be looking at are just tough. It's just so far down that it kind of makes sense to try and recoup value somewhere else. I'm not a huge Mecole Hardman fan here. Byron Pringle, a guy at 1,800. I don't mind paying that price there, but then again we have the a pretty substantial amount of salary left over that I think we can take advantage of, and we can get one of these other elite playmakers into our lineup. Sorry,
what's CEH priced at? Because I feel like he could actually have a decent game. The Broncos have really struggled over the run over the past few weeks.
Yeah, Clyde's here. He's still kind of pricey on this slate, but he's
because the thing is last week, right? You get Edwards-Helaire, before the bye. So this is a risky option for the Chiefs to start him. He's fully healthy. They give him 14 touches. They only give Darrell 6, right? And then now he has a full week to rest off the bye, and now he comes back. I feel like when he comes back here, he's going to be the full workhorse. I'm not the biggest fan of Williams this week. I feel like he's going to be completely faded out.
So a little over involved, eh?
Yeah, sorry.
No, he'll be the Chiefs know what they want to do to stop this Broncos offense, and they're not gonna let them have any easy runs. Is kind of what I'm gathering from what you're saying. And so I just went ahead. I pulled Darrell Williams out if we are playing Clyde. It does get a little murky because that he is still quite pricey on this slate. At 8,600,
questionable.
Mm-hmm. So no, I'm kind of inclined to stay away and just wait it out and kind of see how that situation does play out. But I did throw Byron Pringle in the lineup at 1,800 just to see what that looks like, so that we can toy around with that. That does give us some flexibility. We can add
in any of the defenses.
The Broncos are 3,000 and the Chiefs are
4,400, I think.
4,400, yeah, right there. So slightly higher. I mean, we've seen some weird milli makers this year on some of these slates where a team will play the opposing defense and the opposing quarterback against each other. But if there's a fumble recovery touchdown or anything like that, it can work. It just things have to kind of go your way, and you got to get really lucky. So certainly something to look at. I do think that this is kind of interesting as well, going a heavy Chiefs build, maybe grabbing Demarcus Robinson as well. So we've got 5 Chiefs to 1 Bronco here.
There'll only be $200 left, so we pretty much be using everything. I think that's
lineup.
And that's a pretty good lineup.
These lineups are, I mean, they hit sometimes, right? You get these high scoring players. We've got Patrick Mahomes plus all of his weapons. So every single time the Chiefs do pretty much anything other than a rushing touchdown, we're gonna be in the money.
Yeah.
The
only problem is, sorry, good. Sorry, can I?
No, go ahead. I was done. I tend to ramble.
The only problem with me is though, because I feel like if I feel like it's going to be Byron Pringle or Demarcus Robinson. I don't feel like both are going to have a deep touchdown on this one. Usually it's only one of the other few receivers on the Chiefs that have a good game. So that's the only thing I'm scared about, because I feel like we're limiting our upside by playing both those guys, because I don't feel both are going to have a big play in this one. That's just my thought, though. That's usually that's
totally fair too. I think kind of what Coach and I have talked about as well in previous weeks is, if you get 3 receptions out of a guy listed at $1,800, 3 receptions for 30 yards,
you're winning.
I mean, you've hit, right? Like that player's hit now, right? So even Byron Pringle has been involved. He's seen 4 to 5. I think he saw 6 targets a couple weeks ago. And so, he's been involved. He's on the field. Demarcus Robinson is really the guy that, gives me a lot of pause and a lot of worry. I'm just, he just has not been able to get involved, and he's kind of been, phased out in this offense, and he could have the big play, but really he is a big dart throw. What you really need is the other big 3. You need the other big 3 Chiefs to come through in this one. And you're just kind of covering your bases, I guess, by playing the rest of them. If Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire come out and they score all the touchdowns in this game, I mean, this lineup's going to fail.
Over the past 5 weeks, Demarcus Robinson only has 1 game above 1 catch.
Exactly, right. So
that's just how bad it's been. And that game was 3 catches, so it wasn't even a big game anyway.
Exactly.
He's just not been involved at all.
Yeah, he's been pretty putrid.
And Pringle has had a couple of fantasy relevant games. He did have 5 targets 2 weeks before their bye, so 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So we could see that come back and him have 5 targets, 4 receptions, maybe score a touchdown.
Yeah. Coach, what were you going to say there?
And even with Pringle too, he's been second on the team in wide receiver snaps the past 5 or 6 weeks too. So at $1,800, he's definitely he's at least out there on the field. That's something you look for, especially with these cheap guys.
For sure.
Plus he returns kicks.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He always does have that upside too. So
does this, so does this give you return yards? Sorry, I'm not super familiar.
No, but he still has a chance to take a kick return touchdown back.
Yeah, so he would get the points.
Oh, that would be 6 points. Yeah, sorry, I don't use DraftKings. I literally can't. But
no, it's literally illegal where you're from. So come on the show. We'll make some lineups together.
Yeah. No, but that's kind of my tiebreaker. Sometimes is if a guy returns kicker punts, you just lean to that guy because he still has that extra opportunity. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but he could do it as compared to where Demarcus Robinson has no chance of doing it.
Yeah.
We saw. Oh my God, I can't remember who. Tony Pollard had the kick return touchdown last week, and I had him. I don't know if either of you guys have seen this, but me and my dad each week do this like
Yeah.
DFS showdown.
Yeah.
I don't know
Mhm.
if Coach, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that showdown every week, and I had Pollard in my lineup, so he got me an extra 6 points, which was
That's
really nice last
fantastic.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot, by the way. It's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go check it out on
we
your.
love it. We like
Yeah.
track to each other all week about it. We love it. It's been so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's great to have that outlet and to be able to share, your love for football and fantasy football with your dad. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he
So,
loves
keep
it.
that
I've
up.
really gotten him into it. Like, I've forced him to join like 3 leagues, and one of them's a dynasty league, and he feels like he's losing his mind while I'm over here in like 17 leagues. And he's like, how do you even manage that, dude?
Yeah, I've got some buddies
Good
like that
question.
myself. They're like, I have 2 leagues. It's way too much. I'm like, what?
17 leagues is
me.
way too many.
It's
Like
really me.
that. And I wasn't throwing out any random number. I have exactly 17 leagues. So it's
Yeah, that's a lot.
it's way too many.
Yeah.
I feel like it's way too many. I feel like I need to chop in half basically next year.
Yeah, I kind of feel the opposite. I need to add more. Like I added a bunch this offseason. I thought it was going to be too many. And then the season came and I was like, wow, I can actually handle this. And now I'm like, I'll have to do a couple more dynasty startups next year.
Hey, I might have one to give you.
Maybe I'll consider that, Coach.
Hey, it's 10 and
We can talk behind the
10 and
scenes.
2 right now and loaded. So
Yeah, all right, okay. I could be interested.
got Javante.
Okay,
Ooh, I
you're
love
speaking
that.
my language. All right.
I don't have enough leagues with Javante. I have like 2 out of 5 dynasty leagues with him. And I'm sad about it.
That's not enough. It's not
Yeah,
enough.
it's not enough. I
okay,
traded
guys.
so many 2021 rookie picks that I just didn't have any to take him.
Yeah, that's
Traded away so
definitely
many.
fair. He was kind of in a weird spot too, like where he was
Mhm.
going at like the 105, 106 in 1 QB leagues, and then in Superflex, like he was kind of at the back of the first. So like if you didn't have a pick, like no one wants to be picking in those ranges. It's like if you're like picking like 107, 108, like no one wants to be there. So if your team's in that spot, then luckily you got Javonte Williams, but your team probably like was just a middling of the pack team the previous year, and you're probably the same this year. If that's how you ended the year last
Javante has
year.
not really changed that much this
Yeah,
year.
exactly, right? So, but he's great. He's awesome. But yeah,
He's
you
great
want to
talent, but
coach you that way.
this year has not really been his year. I can't wait
All
to
right.
see where he gets drafted next year. I
Oh,
can't
it's gonna be
wait.
fun,
It's
man.
going to be so high, and it's going to be way too high, and I'm still going to pick him. I'm going to pick him anyway because it's going to be so much hype.
Love it. All right, guys. So let's
get back
finish
on
filling
topic.
this out here. We've got $1,200 left over. As you said, Demarcus Robinson kind of is off the table, to be honest. Just has not been involved whatsoever over the last 5 weeks. I don't even want to say explode, but could have a long reception or something like that at $1,000. But some of the other guys I want to highlight here too. Noah Gray, he's had a few receptions the past couple weeks. He's been out there. Eric Saubert. Again, not super exciting, but he's had a couple fantasy relevant weeks, over the last while. And then Marcus Kemp is another guy who, he had two games with touchdowns back to back, like way back in the beginning of the season. Could be a late round dart throw. And then Mike Boone, who could just come in and spell Javonte, maybe get in around the goal line, do some ugly garbage time work, something along those lines. So, Coach, I want to go to you. I see you shaking your head here. You're disgusted by the idea of throwing Marcus Kemp into the lineup.
Marcus Kemp is a special teamer. He's a gunner on punts. That's it. Like, I don't care if he scored a couple of garbage time touchdowns. Like, if you're going to do that, you might as well just put Josh Gordon in for $200. But I don't really want to do that either. Or
don't do that.
Or Blake Bell for $400 or something like that. But I feel like if you play Mike Boone, like if you're playing Mike Boone, you want to play in a lineup that you're not playing Javonte Williams in.
Mm-hmm. You have to assume that Javonte
you get that leverage on everybody else then.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do like these kind of lineups, you're trying to find because you don't want to play both because it really caps your upside. Like it really does. Like I was saying earlier, if you play Demarcus Robinson and Pringle, as I said earlier, I feel like only one of them is going to get a deep play if one of them do it at all. So
yeah, and you're definitely right on that. So The other thing we could do is
I wish we can get Alberto. I would like him.
Well, we're close. We're close. You know, we can.
We're only $200 away, but I don't think we can get him. But
Yeah, we'd have to drop. Like we could look at taking out one of these big big names over in Kansas City.
Is Robbins or no? Who is it? Is Hardman cheaper than Pringle?
No.
Yes. No. Sorry. Hardman's 4,800 and Pringle.
Hardman's always overpriced.
And then no way.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we could try and get Darrell Williams in there and drop one of these. Right, we drop Tyreek. Let's see what happens there. Could fit Teddy Bridgewater into the lineup there, Coach. I'm just bugging you.
Yeah.
Then you're playing a naked Teddy Bridgewater and no pass catchers too. Like that. Just gross.
It's just.
I mean, they have Sutton and Fan and Judy. They have a ton of pass catchers, right? Like
no, but but only having Teddy and no pass catchers. It limits
in the lineup.
Like he's
got it.
Playing naked in the lineup.
Yeah, and like Teddy's just like he's fine, but he just doesn't throw deep. Like he just doesn't at all. Like that's why Cortland Sutton's really been struggling lately. He just loves, and that's what. And Cortland Sutton's been struggling lately because Judy getting obviously stealing some targets, but Teddy Bridgewater loves to throw short, and Noah Fant and Jerry Judy are taking that role, and Cortland Sutton going deep and not getting anything. Teddy Bridgewater just doesn't want to throw deep anymore, and it sucks for Cortland Sutton, but Teddy Bridgewater is just playing like dink and dunk football, and it's really not fun for his fantasy or Sutton's.
Yeah, that's what Teddy Bridgewater does,
or for entertainment purposes. Come on, Teddy, do something.
At the same time, their offensive line's been in shambles like the last 2 or 3 weeks too. Fair. So they've been missing like both starting offensive tackles, a guard. Like he doesn't even have time to throw even if he wanted to.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
So,
but this team's actually looked good. I mean, this Broncos team has been a surprise. Yeah, sometimes, but has a surprisingly has been a surprisingly good football team at times this year. So, what do you think of this, Coach? It's just toying around. I moved Clyde into the lineup at 8,600 and Albert O and pulled our boy Travis Kelce out, but still have Tyreek Hill, Javonte Williams, Patrick Mahomes in the captain spot. So, kind of get some variance here. We got our 2-to-4 ratio, building, so potentially we can have points scored on the ground and through the air. What do you think of this?
I don't think that one's too bad, honestly. So it's one that definitely could be in play for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like it as well. I'm as Hutch said earlier, I'm a big Alberto fan, and I think he can get in. He tends to just show up around the goal line. Like that's really his thing. You're hoping for that touchdown, but if he does score down there at 1,400, we're going to be pretty excited with that outcome. And if Byron Pringle can get involved and even see 5 or 6 targets in this game, I think this lineup is pretty strong. Go on. You got anything to say, Coach?
I mean, just going back to Alberto, like I liked Alberto a lot coming out of college, but it's like they drafted him and they drafted him right after they drafted Noah Fant, and they're literally like the same player,
right?
Like, they're both super athletic, big tight ends. They do the exact same thing, so it's just like it was redundancy. Like it made sense at the time because Alberto was like Drew Lock's favorite target at Missouri too. Like it was a 4th round pick, so it's not like you invested a lot into him. So it's just weird. And like you would expect them to use two tight, and like they're super athletic tight ends, and they just kind of line them up in line. They don't really put them in the slot out wide or any. Like they just don't use them like how they could be used. Is the most frustrating part. But I guess
it's like they drafted them so that they could have like a Patriot-esque offense with these two like super athletes at tight end, and then they just don't ever put them on the field together in that way ever. Like they just use 3 wide receiver sets all the time, and they because they got 3 good wide receivers, but then the tight ends suffer, and these guys are like super athletes. So but I think he can get in around the goal line. I think he can be involved, and then this kind of covers our bases. Patrick Mahomes can throw to pretty much anyone now, and we're going to be happy with it. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets in with a passing touchdown, we're going to be hooting and hollering over here, and maybe we'll even win some money. So hopefully this has helped some people. I'm going to go ahead and lock this in.
Do it.
Always toy around with this stuff too. Like I said, like I'd probably make like 5 lineups for this. And I will tomorrow during the day, just make like a different variations of these lineups and adding some different players and stuff, kind of building different game scripts as to how this game is going to play out. And then, and then have some of those hopefully hit. You really only need one to hit properly to get in there. So, all right, we got that locked in. I'm going to pull up our Monkey Knife Fight here. But while I do that, I'm just going to play a quick video from our friends over at Viridian Global.
I'll just take a minute to tell you about my personal experience with Viridian. I kind of had been dabbling and trying to get some potential apparel and merchandise going for Sons of Dynasty. And, I got linked up with those guys over there, and they were absolutely fantastic. I mean, customer service 101. They were not satisfied until I was satisfied. And they made me a priority, and it was very apparent. It made to order, just everything you need shipped right to customer. It's essentially effortless to have your own brand being made available all around the world, and Viridian Global brings that to your fingertips.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. So huge shout out to Viridian Global. They do all of our merchandise. They got over 50 fantasy football affiliates, all different kinds of gear. You can literally type in a player's name and they have a shirt or a hoodie or a sweater for that player. So definitely go check it out, ViridianGlobal.com, with all your fantasy football apparel needs.
Boom. And yeah, you can use that promo code down there, TPA, on your first purchase. You'll get 10% off of that first purchase. But yeah, as that said, they've got so much fantastic stuff over there. And Coach Craig, you just got your merch hooked up on there as well not too long ago. So go check it out, ViridianGlobal.com. Find Coach's stuff on there, Point After stuff on there. You can find True North, as well as I said, over 40 other fantasy football affiliates and stuff. So yeah, go check it out. Let's get into our Monkey Knife Fight touchdown dance today, though. So we've got this. We're going to be attacking this same game that we were just talking about. We built some DFS lineups for this, but now we're going to look at who we think is going to score in this game. So Hutch, if you're not familiar, basically what we're doing is,
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this either.
Yeah, probably not, but it's okay because I'm in Canada and it's legal here. So we've got 3 players that we're going to pick. Those 3 players combine for a total number of touchdowns. If they hit the total number of touchdowns, it pays out at a certain rate depending on the touchdown total we choose. So usually we choose 2 total touchdowns. We pick the 3 players. Between those 3, they have to score 2 touchdowns, and then it pays out times 2. Or times 1.5. If we pick 3 total touchdowns and it hits, it pays out times 4. So sometimes we like to get a little freaky on here, and we do that. A couple weeks ago, we had Austin Eckler. This was 2 weeks ago, Coach. We never got to talk about it because we didn't do last week. But we had Austin Eckler, Darrell Henderson, and who else was that? Cooper Kupp, I think, in that lineup. Anyways, we had 6 total touchdowns, and we picked 2. We weren't sure. We said on the air, I'm not sure how this game's going to play out, but I think if anyone's going to score,
Eckler got 4. That was the game Eckler got 4, right?
Yeah, he had 4. Oh, it was Mike Williams. Yeah, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, and there was the
Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, Mike Williams had the huge deep touchdown, and then Henderson scored one as well, I think.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so that was a fun one for us. But yeah, let's get into this because this game's going to be fun. We do have to pick a player, at least one player from each side. So 2 on one side, 1 player from the other. Yeah. I think it's pretty clear who we're all going to want to choose as our Broncos player to score a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, it has to be Williams.
It has to be.
It can't be anyone else.
No, it totally could. Like, I honestly could see.
These are non-quarterback players, right? Like non-QB.
Yep.
Yeah. You can't pick a quarterback.
Yeah. Fair.
It's a probability game at this point, though. I mean, really, the likelihood that anyone scores, is going to be the one bell cow running back that they have in this game. I could see Tim Patrick scoring. I could see Albert O scoring. I could see Noah Fant scoring. I could see, honestly, any of these wide receivers getting in the end zone. I I can't consciously put money on it. Say, that's the probable outcome.
I would bet on
what's gonna
Kelsey.
happen. Yeah,
I would bet on Kelsey.
Okay.
He's used a lot around the red zone, and his touchdowns have gotten a bit higher as of late in the last couple of weeks. I believe he scored 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. I'm not going to fact check that. But yeah, I think Kelsey, he's used a lot around the red zone. I feel like he's going to be able to score. And their linebacker unit is just decimated right now with injuries. As you said earlier, the 2 starting linebackers on IR. Yeah, I think Kelsey's going to have a big game here. And he had a touchdown in week 9 against Green Bay. But he had a rushing one in week 11 against Dallas.
He scored the only touchdown for the Chiefs that game, right? Or
yes,
it was a rushing touchdown
for the Chiefs that game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do like Kelsey this one as well. I'm a little hesitant just because we didn't put him into our showdown slate to now really cover our bases, right? Like we're really getting everybody in, right? If we hit on this, then we might not hit there. So I'm kind of inclined to just go Tyreek to stay the course with what we had said we were doing with the last one. But I'm also kind of under the impression you could put both those guys in. Like we could have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill both in this touchdown slate here. And, the other guy that's jumping out to me is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Betting on a right back is so hard because of Darrell Williams.
Yeah.
It's so hard because of Darrell Williams, man. What does he do in this game? Off the bye, I would hope Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the pretty much predominant workhorse back, pretty much. Like he's getting 18 to 20 touches in this game, but you can't 100% say that. But yeah, I think those are the 3 I would bet on. And I would bet on.
I think if we're playing the probability game too, even if they all don't score, I think we can get 2 touchdowns out of the 3 of these guys. Mm-hmm. Even if Kelsey scores. Yeah, so I'll go 1.5. That pays out times 1.5. So it's 2 total touchdowns, pays out times 1.5. And then Gymnastic, who was going to be on the show. I'm sure some people are wondering why he's not here since we were talking about it pre-show, but he actually got called into work like half an hour before we went live. He works for his city in his local area, and he's always on call. And it's unfortunate that we weren't able to have him on here, but Hutch, I'm glad we were able to have you join us. So, it all worked out in the end. And I think Jimbo would be in the same boat with us here, Coach. What do you think? Keeping these 3 guys in, locking them in. Yeah. Usually he goes for the 50. He tries to play it a little safer. So he'll do 2 total touchdowns, but he'll put $50 on it because we can use the promo code TNFF. You get matched up to $50 on your first deposit. So you can basically play that first game with house money. I tend to go a little bit safer because I'm playing with my own money because I suck at gambling sometimes. And but yeah, so we'll go ahead and lock that in. We'll put in the $20 there. And I think these are the 3. I think these are the 3 you think of first and that you got to bet on. Yeah, I agree. And Coach, I want you to know too that week that Austin Eckler scored 4 touchdowns because we had him in our lineup. Monkey Knife Fight actually did a bonus, and because we had him in the touchdown lineup, they actually gave us an additional $10, which doubled our winnings from that week. So it wasn't too bad. Just because Austin Eckler absolutely blew up. And if only we had played the Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler the week before. Yeah. they combined for 9 total touchdowns between the 2 of them 2 weeks before that. Yeah, that was phenomenal. All right. So we got that locked down. We've got just one more for you guys tonight. This game's going to be a lot of fun, but I've been going back and forth on this New England Bills game on who's going to score. And even if there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game, it's this is. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
this is like the Chiefs Broncos game. This is a huge game. Like
it is, but this is also supposed to be a
game,
a very wet game. Supposedly, the forecast does not look good, and honestly, I think we could see 2 defenses just come out and play well and, really limit what these offenses are able to do. So this is a touchdown dance that honestly, I usually wouldn't target. I don't think, because I'm not really sure who's going to score. I think it could get ugly. I think it's going to be kind of tough. So we're going to bet a little bit lower on this one. And, we're only going to bet the 2 total touchdowns because realistically, like I think there could only be 4 or 5 touchdowns scored in this game. We really got to get it right who's going to be, and that's on a good end, right? Like there could be 3. I could see this being a 17-9 type of game with the weather and these two teams.
Oh no,
you just went dark. At least you didn't
I
cut out.
did.
I mean, your power works still. Your lights are just gone.
It did. Hold on, let me fix that real quick.
No, you're all good, buddy.
I think
Coach, I want to go to you
first.
first.
My foot.
We know the Patriots have been very good at shutting down the number 1 option for the opposing team. This is a historical Bill Belichick trait. So I'm kind of inclined to stay away from Stefan Diggs here. What are you thinking on this? Are you interested, or do you think, in a situation like this where we only need 1 touchdown, if someone's going to score it, Josh Allen's going to go to him?
Yeah, I don't have a problem playing Diggs in this one, honestly. I think another name that's going to come to mind is Dawson Knox because he's been scoring the touchdowns, even though the Patriots have done pretty good against tight ends this year. So
I can't play a tight end against New England, man. They're just so good at. They just bully the tight end. They just bully the tight end position all season long. There haven't been many tight ends to do good against New England Patriots. It's just been so awful for tight ends against them. Like I have a league right now where I have Dawson Knox, and I picked up. You guys might lose your minds on me, but I actually really like Ryan Griffin for this week from the Jets against the Eagles.
Wow.
The Eagles
Will Harris, one of the creators of Viridian Global, would be in love with you right now.
Yeah.
Now just start talking about Braxton Berrios.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually starting Ryan Griffin in a league over Dawson Knox. I'm that confident in New England defense. There's just, especially now with the wet game, there is no way I will be able to trust Dawson Knox in any lineup.
Well, he has been getting there. He has been getting there on the back of scoring touchdowns. So if he doesn't get into the red zone, into the end zone. If he doesn't get into the end zone, he's going to be having a pretty rough game. So, you might have persuaded me, Coach. Diggs has been electric in the past few weeks. He's really hit his stride. And if they're going to win this game, they need their playmakers to step up. I mean, as you said earlier, Hutch, like this is such an important game, and I'm really starting to kind of gravitate to those games that like mean a lot for their teams. And this is going to be one of them. They need their playmakers to do something in this game. So I kind of do like Stefan Diggs as the touchdown scorer on the Bills. But let me ask you this, guys, because this might determine who we go with our third or with our second and third player. Who do you think wins this game? Do you think the Patriots can hold off and stop this Bills offense, or do you think the Bills are going to come through and be able to, actually, come out and show why they're number 1 in offense and defense, or at least were for the first, 8 weeks of the season? Coach, I'll go to you first.
Okay, go ahead.
This is tough, but I think the Patriots are like the more balanced team overall. The Bills have shown a lot of flaws at times this year, especially when it comes to like their offensive line and their inefficiency to run the ball.
Yeah.
It was just putting so much pressure on Josh Allen. Yes, that worked out most of the time last year, but we've seen it not work out this year, even against like Jacksonville of all teams too.
Yeah, no kidding. Hutch, where are you at?
Coach, you're bet on the Pats?
Yeah, and I think if we get this lake effect snow and there's 30-mile-an-hour winds or whatever it's supposed to be, the Patriots are the team that can run the ball and play defense.
They're built to win a game like that versus over the Bills, who are built to sling the ball through the air and face the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. That's really the team they've been building, is a team that can keep up and score points, not a team that can ground and pound the ball. And maybe we do see Josh Allen get involved on the ground in this game a little bit, and we might see some Matt Breida, and we might see some Devin Singletary getting involved. But I think it's just going to be kind of ugly on that Bills side of the football, and I think they will get it done. I'm just not sure how they're going to get there. So I do think Diggs is probably the safest play on Buffalo's side of the ball. And Hutch, where are you at with this game? Where do you think? How do you think it plays out?
I think the Patriots win with the conditions that the Patriots are made to run the ball. And it's so frustrating with this touchdown contest because, if it's going to rain and snow, you want to bet on the running backs of the Bills, right? You can't because they all suck. They are all garbage, and there's 3 of them that all get touches, so you can't bet on one of them to score a touchdown. That's craziness. But Yeah, the Patriots are going to run the ball, and if it might not work in the beginning, but they're going to keep it going, and they're eventually going to tire out this Buffalo defense, and they're going to win this game. It's going to be a very defensive focused game. And remember, the Bills just lost Tre'Davious White.
Yeah.
He's gone for the season. Like
it's a big loss.
He is one of their guys on defense. Like he locks down one of the sides of the field, and that's going to be huge. I can't remember. Is this their first game without him?
Yes.
No, is it?
That's big.
Because they had the bye last week.
Yeah,
They
he
had the
left.
bye last week, right? Yeah, they have had time to adjust, but this is their first game on the field without Tre'Davious White. That's big.
Playing against a red hot
Playing
Patriots
against
team.
a red hot offense.
Yeah, who's been phenomenal.
That's trouble.
Yeah,
So I think,
I'm actually kind of inclined to agree, which sucks
I think the Patriots
because
win this game. And
yeah,
dude, guys, they look like they're going to the Super Bowl.
yeah, this team
I
they
think we're
look
gonna
good.
see a Tom Brady Patriots Super Bowl.
Yeah, this Patriots team looks real good. I actually I had a bet a couple weeks ago that I made with my father-in-law about the Bills versus the Patriots. He's a big Patriots fan. And I said, no, I just don't think they're as good as the Bills. And then these last 3 weeks, he texts me every single weekend. Wow, they look pretty good this weekend. And I'm like, well, it's hard to argue that. And then this last week, that's where I actually was out of town, and we watched the Patriots game. And I was, I was like, they look good. Albeit against a pretty bleak and decimated by injuries Tennessee Titans team. They still came out and they looked good in that game. So this begs the question. So Hunter Henry didn't score this past week, almost pretty much dudded for fantasy owners, which is kind of expected with what he scores touchdowns or he busts. So in a game in a format like this where you're only chasing after touchdowns, I actually think Hunter Henry is kind of interesting, but I just think there's not going to be enough points scored in this game. I think when the Patriots get down around the goal line, it's going to be those running backs. So let me ask you, Coach, like if we're only going 2 total touchdowns, is it crazy to go Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson and just try and lock up the Patriots backfield and just hope that they score 2 rushing touchdowns? I mean, watch it be Brandon Bolden through the air. Like,
my boy.
So frustrating.
I could see that happening, but honestly, like I don't think that's the worst play is to just take both those New England bruiser running backs, play to the game script and what the weather's going to say and what the story of this game is going to be, and kind of bite onto that and say these guys are going to score.
And I think like what you're saying there, if you're going to do that, I'd wait till like the day of the game so we know it's going to be like snowy and windy. Like it's always in the forecast, but that might not actually happen too, because it's not like there's a time limit on this or it's a prize pick thing where it's going to like change throughout the day.
Yeah,
you can do it like an hour before.
Set it in now and then it's locked in, like
and then it's all sunshine and rainbows all of a sudden by Monday night.
Exactly. And that is also very valid in the fact that this game's still 36 hours away from where we're at right now. We still got a full Sunday, 48 hours
48 hours
48 hours from where we're at right now, so a little less, maybe 46 hours, but still it's it's a ways away before we actually know what's going to happen. So this might be one that you do kind of play it and wait, but I think that is the way to go about it. If it is going to be a murky slushy game like that, if it is really nice, let's just humor it for a second. Are you interested in Kendrick Bourne scored 2 touchdowns last week, Nelson Aguilar potentially getting in there, or are you interested in any of these New England pass catchers to get in that zone? Maybe it is Hunter Henry.
He's used a lot around the red zone, and if they're if it's not going to be snowy and rainy, there is opportunity to pass the ball, and they're going to look to Hunter Henry in the red zone. And Dawson Knox would become
actually, that's what I was just going to say.
No, he wouldn't. Because the Patriots matchup. I just can't do it. I really just can't do it with the Patriots. I can't play any tight ends against the Patriots. It's just they are so tough. Like no one scores against the Patriots.
No tight ends.
No tight ends do. Like the average,
not a lot of people score either. Let's be honest.
Tight ends against the Patriots. The entire tight end room for a team averages 7.33 points per game.
Yeah, that's rough.
Tight ends. And 3 touchdowns have been scored on the entire season for tight ends against the
That's
Patriots.
rough.
Like, that's just not fun. And
Yeah, it's
35
tough.
receptions. 35 receptions in 12 games.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah, that's rough.
no.
That'd be very
No.
rough. So
No way.
what we might go ahead and do here, Coach, is leave this one open ended here.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of humored the options, and I'll make the call Monday morning once I kind of know the weather, because I do think that is the way to go, and I think it will end up being a slushy, rainy game, like maybe some snow on the ground, and
Yeah, and it's just like with snow, it's cold. Like, it's freezing out there. Like, that's just not good to throw in either.
yeah, I mean,
weather's
I
not
don't know
fun
how
to
much
play.
football you guys played growing up, but I played football in the snow, and
That sucks.
it sucks. Like, it sucks, man. Like, I played receiver, and all I had to do was block because we couldn't pass the ball in like minus 15 degree Celsius weather. And like
Dude, I
it
feel
sucks.
exactly
So.
the same way. I've
Yeah.
never played like tackle football before, but I am going out for the team next season. But I played a lot of flag and a lot of just football with friends, like where we play 2-hand touch or even tackle football with each other. And if it's cold as a receiver, man, that just sucks because all you're doing is blocking and not doing much.
Yeah, and it's rough on your hands. It's like
Yeah,
and it's slippery. Like it's tough to run routes when the ground's wet, and like there's a lot of things that play factors into it. So we'll leave that open ended. The one guy we will lock in is Stefan Diggs.
Yeah, Stefan Diggs, I think, is the guy to lock in here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think he's as safe as you're probably going to get on this Bills side, no matter what the weather conditions are. Can't trust any of the running backs. Dawson Knox, usually is a pretty safe bet, but in this matchup, as you alluded to, Hutch, I'm just not overly interested in it. And then the other auxiliary, wide receivers, if you're playing Stefan Diggs, you really in a porous game script or weather conditioned game, you can't be playing Emmanuel Sanders or Cole Beasley to score touchdowns. In a DFS slate, whatever, you can do whatever you can do your thing, but to score touchdowns, you can't have 2 of those wide receivers in there. So I'm inclined to stay away that way, attack the running back room of these Patriots, make sure we have Stefan Diggs in there, and then kind of go from there. So I'll make sure I lock this in on Monday. But hopefully this was helpful for some people breaking down this tough touchdown dance game. And thank you guys for getting into it with me.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've never played like any of these things before. I've never even done them before, so it was it was fun. It was fun to do. These are very fun games. I just have to wait like 6 years.
Yeah, just a little while.
6 years.
Well, just consider at this point you're not gambling because it's my money. You're just helping a friend. There you go.
Just helping a friend gamble.
Advisor.
Yeah, you're just giving advice. It's fine. No. Well, thank you guys so much for both of you guys for coming on tonight. This has been awesome. I can't believe we've been an hour and a half already that we've been talking.
We're bad at this.
But this has been so much fun. Coach, tell the people where they can find you on Twitter. Actually, let me give my info first, then we'll go around the table. It'll be a whole thing. So you can find me on Twitter at @thepointafterff. You can also make sure you check out the True North Fantasy Football Network on YouTube and on Twitter at True North FFB. Coach, where can the people find you? What are you working on?
Yeah, Coach Craig Sport on Twitter, Coach Craig Sports on YouTube. It's pretty much the typical stuff. I got daily NBA DFS videos up. I got fantasy football videos or NFL DFS videos 5 days a week as well. So waiver wire on Tuesday, Thursday night preview and starts and sits on Wednesday. Thursday night single game matchup on Thursday. Dollar store stacks for DFS, so cheap quarterbacks they can stack with the receiving options on Friday, and then the starts and sits video that did come out today for all the other 26 teams that were in play. Obviously, got the Patreon Coach Craig Sports on Patreon as well. So snap count, spreadsheets, tracking where wide receivers line up, cornerbacks line up, tight ends line up, all that good stuff. Going to have some NFL draft prospect notes and grading system in there as well once we get closer to the draft as well. So that's the normal stuff,
Super valuable content that you're bringing to the fantasy community. So definitely go check it out. Check out the Patreon. Check out the YouTube page at Coach Craig Sports. You can find all of it over there. And then Hutch, thank you so much. Hutchinson Brown, the full name. Tell the people where they can find you and what you're working on.
Yeah, I didn't put my full name in here. I should have done that. Sorry, guys. But you
No,
guys
that's
can
okay.
follow me.
No, you're good.
You guys go follow me on Twitter and on TikTok at TYFMNFL, that handle right there. I do on TikTok. I've just started. I do like a couple just videos every week, just short little clips of fantasy football advice. And on Twitter, I'm always just scrolling around Twitter, posting about my podcast, which you can find pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. The Young Fantasy Mind Football Podcast. I do that 3 times a week. On today, while we're recording Saturday, the over-under episode just came out, and some Q&A where we answer some fantasy football questions. The over-unders are where we take 3 players, take their fantasy pros projections, and bet over or under what they're going to do. Like so-and-so. Like today we had Jamal Williams over or under 14.5 fantasy points, and we had a bet over or under on that. We usually have guests every week, but my guest ghosted me this week, so unfortunately I had to do it solo. That's what just happened. So yeah,
I'm sure you crushed it as usual. If what you did on the show tonight is any indication of how that show went, so yeah, make sure you go check it out. Find him on Twitter at Hutchinson Brown, and or actually at TYFM NFL.
If you search Hutchinson Brown in the Twitter,
you'll find him. Yeah. I've seen your face. I've seen your face with that name before. But yeah, thank you guys so much for doing this. Good luck this week, week 13. I know Hutch, you said you got 17 leagues ongoing, so I hope you're making a playoff push in all 17 of those.
Pushes, don't worry.
But this week is important. You know, it's important for a lot of NFL teams, as we talked about tonight, and a lot of these interdivisional games. But it's important for us fantasy football people. We got just a couple more weeks until your fantasy playoffs are going to be starting.
Yeah, most playoffs are week 15 this year because of this week's weird week 17 thing now.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely made that mistake in my leagues. I actually had some of my league managers reach out to me and say like, "Hey, are you going to change that?" And I was like, "What?" But now but it's weird on Sleeper. They only have 17 weeks as an option.
I guess they don't do week 18 like weirdos.
Like it's just not an option. So I just ended it like 3 weeks earlier or whatever.
18? Sorry, I don't want to call you weirdos.
Yeah.
I just hate people who commit week 18 because like stud teams hit their best options. It's in the last week can get really weird. I don't like week 18. I don't like week 18.
Sucks. So so definitely make sure you check us all out on Twitter, on the tubes. I'm gonna play the outro video, but if you guys got anything else to say before we get out of here, no, you're good.
I don't want to get off track more.
All right, love it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Check out the True North Fantasy Football Network on YouTube, as well as the website at True North FFB. You can find all of our merch over there, all our rankings, all that fun stuff. And yeah, good luck this week, week 13. See you later.
See you.